I think you'll see where I'm going with this question, but I want to tee this up a little bit. You have done homesteading for quite a while at this point, correct?
Yeah,
Have you
kind of.
helped people all over the world with homesteading, correct? All different kinds of climates, places all over the world.
Yes, I've done my best. We've been doing it for over 10 years, YouTubing videos, but I always said learn with us because we're city slickers kind of making mistakes and learning as we go, learn from our mistakes. But absolutely, it's been over 10 years now.
Okay, you've had your hands in the dirt per se. You've been outside a lot. You've created a lot of things. You've worked with people and learned their experiences. I'm so taken aback by this. Looking at landscapes, like a natural landscape, like sure, like in my neighborhood, there's a garden plot that's about 5 minute walk away where people have been toiling all summer long, and now there's a few tomatoes. And I think to myself, like, okay, I could probably have enough tomatoes to keep me happy for like a day, and then they'd be all gone. And maybe there's some squash and some other things, but those things would be gone. And then I look at the natural landscape, one that's not cultivated, and it's just so diverse with so many different plants and animals and things that are living naturally. There's like nothing for me. Like there would be nothing for me to eat. And I'm just curious, like you learn more when you're getting into carnivore, but are you ever taken aback like with the homesteading, with the natural lifestyle, working with people all over the world? The issue to me seems to be like, yeah, these vegetables aren't that great in vast quantities. They're not in vast quantities anywhere else unless you cultivate them with industrial equipment, right? Like what has been your experience learning about some of that stuff?
Oh, Casey, I love this one. Yeah, we suffered and struggled to try to grow stuff here. Like I said, we were learning, but it's sandy soil, but also it's hard for everyone to grow anything just in general. But your example is so true. I've mentioned this before. I live in Wisconsin, and maybe you can see some of the trees out here in the background, but we live in a forest. And I'm like, historically, what would have happened? There's nothing out there. Like, I'm gonna eat some pine needles. There's nothing out there to eat. What about I'm in Wisconsin in winter. It's like there's snow on the ground for half the year. There's nothing to eat. There's so many arguments like with the vegetables. I'm with you 100%. If you just that's what I always do is I like to go back to just using my own two eyes. What would we have done historically since the start of time? There's lots of animals out here. There's wild turkey, there's deer, there's lots of meat, but there's nothing else to eat. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. The whole growing the garden thing too was always crazy. And in the end, I was talking to my wife about this before. I'm like, think of all the money and effort we spent on that. And we had one year that was a success, but even then, it's like you said, you get like a bushel of tomatoes or something. Then the insects eat the rest of them. And I had to like amend the soil, and you're out there every day and pouring water all over it, and you get this little bit of thing. And then when you learn more, so you mentioned Lee Kopus earlier, his testimony with his ileostomy bag and how when he would eat vegetables, the bag would just fill up with green mush and gas and vegetable. He's like, I'm chewing this stuff and it's in the bag. So you go through all that work and toil to make the garden, and then you digest it, and almost all of it goes right out. It's just like Lee said, it's just waste in, waste out.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was brought up in the Mormon faith here in the Salt Lake Valley, and learning about how the Mormons kind of transitioned from New York. They spent several years in the winters of Ohio, where the prophet was given an edict about nutrition and the foods that you should be eating. And he talks about like that you should partake of the fruits and plants that I've given you and things thereof. And this is given in like February in northern Ohio, and thinking like you of course eat the fruit when it's in season. It's
Right.
never in season besides like 2 or 3 weeks a year, maybe. And it's totally different than what we would recognize as fruits and vegetables, let alone anything that we consider like processed food, which is a whole nother side of things.
100%. I was gonna say that too. That's what we have here. We get raspberries, and it's like 2 weeks out of the year, and that's it. And then people will make that argument, like on my YouTube channel, they'll say stuff like that. And it's exactly like you said. The raspberries that are here are nothing like the raspberries you go buy in the store. You go have those tested ones, and they got fertilizer and glyphosate all over them, which is patented as an antibiotic. There's all sorts of ways that these vegetables and fruits are compromised now that I don't think people pay enough attention to. I really think it's a serious issue, especially when you get into glyphosate. Not people are always like, it's the dose that matters, and my argument back to that is, okay, it's the dose that matters, but it's also the frequency of the dose. If you're consuming these things out of season multiple times a day for years and years and decades, a lot of people don't realize this, but glyphosate is actually patented as an antibiotic. It's a weed killer, but it's an antibiotic, and everyone knows you shouldn't be consuming antibiotics for a long time. But meanwhile, the majority of humanity is consuming low levels of antibiotics chronically for decades. And it's fruit and vegetables, and it just gets a complete pass. And meanwhile, there's an epidemic of leaky gut going on, depression, anxiety, fertility issues, hormonal issues that are all tied to those sorts of things. So it all makes sense. And I think a lot of times people are trying to be cautious and they're like, yeah, just have a balanced diet, have this. I think there's actually some harm that could be done, especially when you look at how people are consuming fruit nowadays, multiple times per day, out of season, just wreaking havoc on their liver. And oh, it's fruit. It's so good for you. It's like, of course, it's better than eating a Twinkie or a Dorito, but it doesn't mean it's something that should be consumed multiple times per day for years and years.
Yeah, such a good point, man. According to people in the produce who are like experts, they say the apples are already a year old by the time you get them. They call them birthday apples at the store. So yeah, it's a totally different context. I appreciate your insight into that. And let's jump ahead and just kind of describe like what is a day in the life for a carnivore. Nowadays, thinking about all the problems you used to deal with, how do you go through life today as a carnivore?
Supercharged. But maybe not. Maybe this is how it was always intended, but supercharged relative to what I was doing before. Before here on the homestead, we're doing homesteading videos. We're gonna go cut down a tree today. We're gonna get some firewood. I would go cut down a tree and I would be huffing and puffing, and sadly my wife and kids would have to take over and finish the job because I was just fatigued and tired. Now my energy is endless. It's remarkable. I wake up usually at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I'm wide awake. I'm ready to go. I get just a couple hours of sleep, and I'm good to go. Right now, I'm eating 2 meals a day, usually eggs for breakfast and ground beef or bacon, and burger patties or steak or something for lunch. But working on the documentary, working on the homestead. My wife and I run our small town movie theater. We have an Airbnb. We're like juggling a million things, but I'm really enjoying it. The biggest epiphany for me on carnivore was I appreciate life more and I feel like I'm busy living. I love the movies, and there's a quote in Shawshank Redemption, get busy living or get busy dying. And I feel like I'm busy living now, and I was kind of busy dying before. I was just barely getting by.
My favorite movie of all time, man. I love that movie. I love that quote. Last time you updated us a little bit on the journey of the rest of the family. Can you give us an update now that it's been over a year that we talked? How are everybody else in the family doing?
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that question. I'm bad with dates. It seems like I've been carnivore for 20 years now. It's only been a little over 2 years, like we said, but my wife has now been carnivore. She's over 500 days, which blows my mind. She was vegan for most of her life, or vegetarian, mostly vegan, but vegetarian. And she started carnivore and she fell off. And I thought there's no way she's ever going to do this again. It's really hard for someone that only eats plants to only eat meat. But she's been strict carnivore for over 500 days. My wife and I have triplets plus one. The girls are all eating this way. My daughter Katie is 99% carnivore, mostly keto. My daughter Lily is on and off. But I'm thankful that she has this as a tool in her toolbox. She found incredible healing on carnivore when I first started 2 years ago. She keeps fluctuating. It's hard with she's grown now, so she can make her own decisions. But I'm just happy she has it as a tool in her toolbox.
Yeah, for sure. Do they get punished more now than they would before if they drift off the diet, and helps kind of keep them on the straight and narrow as far as that goes?
100%. Yeah. Oh, great question. Like my daughter Emma, she's been carnivore with me this whole time. Strict carnivore. And she was vegan for 5 years before starting carnivore. This has just completely changed her life. She's had a couple. I remember her birthday. They cheated, and she it was one of her biggest regrets. Like she could feel it right away. Acne came back, just fatigue, tired, all this stuff. That's one of the beautiful things with carnivore is even if you're not cheating, if you just come in contact with some seed oils or something, you can sense it so much better because you don't have so many variables, so much input.